Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Monday, February 3rd. We got a house full of sick people here, folks. We all got a cold. It's pretty bad. I mean, I don't think it's the coronavirus. Unless you can get that from drinking Coronas, which we did on Super Bowl Sunday. But actually, I didn't. It was something else. But anyway, yeah, the kids are sick. Sam actually was all right this morning. She went to school. She had a little fever yesterday, got over it, and now seems fine. Ellie has held a little minor fever for the third day. She's actually going to the doctor today. You can probably tell it in my voice if you're listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube channel. It's I'm just a little scratchy throat and a little congestion going on. I hope it's just a quick one and I'm better in the next couple of days. We'll see how it pans out. I did mean to do a podcast last week. It didn't get done, but I had a lot going on. I had I had two promises that I made myself that I swore I would fulfill before the end of January. And one was to get my tattoo, my Ironman tattoo. And that got done. That is now on the calf. It is. I got to tell you, I talked to the guy on Thursday. I talked to him on the 30th, Thursday, and I said, he's like, "How big do you want the logo?" And I was like, "I don't know, like a silver dollar size." And he's like, "Oh, okay, that's good." I showed up the next day for my appointment. He showed me a little sticker, and I'm like, a little template, whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's good. He put it on. I looked in the mirror, and I'm like, yeah, that looks good. I don't know. I asked Sam. I brought Sam with me to watch. I thought it was important to include her on that, especially since she was included so much with my training and on race day and being involved on that. And she was such a big part of that. So I wanted her to, I also want her to, as a parent, I'm not, anti-tattoo for my kids. I just want to, I want them to think that it means something, right? It has to mean something. That's kind of what I want to instill in my daughter. You may have other views. That's fine. But for me, tattoos not necessarily bad, but just make them have meaning. That's my personal outlook on that. And I don't care if you have one or many or whatever. As long as they have meaning to you, I think that's cool. They're permanent, right? So anyway, so the guy goes and he puts it. Geez, I tell you, it hurt. It hurt a lot more than I remembered, and I'm trying to sit there and just kind of smile and laugh it off. But I think Sam saw the pain in my face, and she definitely saw some. He was putting the color in, and then when he would wipe it off, there'd be a little blood on the thing, and she saw that, and I think she got a little. That's just good. You got to know. Hey, you got to know. So anyway, I get off the table, and I go and I look at the tattoo in the mirror, and I'm like, wow. That's a little bigger than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it takes up I kind of wanted it, in my brain, I was thinking silver dollar is probably small and it would just be but it's a really thick font and it's, I don't know. It's a little bigger than I thought, but guess what? Can't do nothing about that now. It's there forever. And, here's what it is. I'm not upset about it though. You get used to those things. And after a while, I won't even know it's there. I was walking around. It's funny. I'm walking around. It's middle of winter. I'm walking around in shorts because I got to it feels, I'm supposed to put, cream on it or whatever. And when I put jeans over top of that, it feels really awful. It's gross. So I've been wearing shorts the last couple of days just to kind of air it out. And I'm walking around in 20-degree weather in shorts with this, and it's I feel just obnoxious with my obnoxiously giant Ironman tattoo out there. But hey, that's what I wanted. And, but anyway, check mark on the one thing from January 3rd I wanted to do by January. The other thing was that I wanted to live stream a Zwift race. And I have tried all month to figure this out. It has been annoying me to no end that I can't figure it out. I couldn't get it to work right. Killing me. I mean, I've tried so many times, and so the last thing I could think of was to swap out my laptop and take out the computer that I have in there, which is actually pretty new, and then put in my work computer, which is older but a little stronger, a little more powerful, a little more expensive, and put it in there. Tried to live stream, and it worked. So ta-da! The live stream worked. It worked. We did two things. I did kind of a test one with it, and then I did the Zwift the Tour de Zwift Stage 6, which I believe was Richmond. I did that on the live stream. The live stream came out really cool. I'm going to have to play, I think, with the microphone levels. It seemed like you get a little bit too loud on the side on the bike, so I kind of probably have to just raise the microphone a little bit up closer to my mouth where I talk. But I had a good ride that day. I was very happy with it, very happy with how it worked out, and I look forward to doing more live streams to come. So, all in all, pretty successful January for us. Steph and I, we both, we were on the Whole30 diet. I did lose, 10, 11 pounds. I don't even know what it was on Friday. It must have been 9 actually on Friday. If you want to make it official, I lost 9 pounds, but since then I'm down another 2, but whatever. Again, downward trajectory, thumbs up, everything's going well. Some things I learned from the Whole30 that some of the things will stick. The sweets, I'm going to opt more for fruit than for the sweets. That's the plan. Hopefully I stick with that. So far so good. I mean, yeah, we're only 3 days into February. But yeah, I like that. We brought back some things like, we get that kind of, it's called light brown rice, which is kind of like, it's like white rice. It tastes like white rice, but it says brown rice. So I don't know whatever, but it tastes good. So we've kind of introduced that. Chickpeas we put back in, red beans, black beans, that kind of stuff. That was Whole30. That's, we took it out for January. We've already put it back in. So those things that we've put back in, I can tell you the bread I'm going to try to stay away from. The pasta I'm going to stay away from for the most part. We'll probably do some things. We make a lot of pasta here in the past, so we're just going to try to cut down the alcohol. I like the fact that we cut down on that in January. I know you're supposed to have no again. I say I did the Whole30. I did a lot of the concepts of the Whole30. I didn't go like cultish Whole30. I didn't go, I honestly didn't read anything about the Whole30. I just knew sort of the basic tenets. Some of the things that I feel like are a little bit over the top, like if you screw up, you got to start over again and the Whole30 starts over. Like, I don't like whatever. Make your rules, do your thing. You weren't supposed to like substitute foods for like a food that you crave. So if you crave potato chips and you make plantain chips, it shouldn't count, like, because you're trying to do it as a substitute. We did lettuce wraps once, and that's not. We got flack from that. It's like tacos, like you're substituting for tacos. It's like, come on, guys. Now we're eating freaking lettuce wraps. Just leave us alone with our lettuce wraps, please. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't go for some of the cultish things and that's kind of the way I look at it. So again, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I just think, some of these fad diets are like hocus pocus. And I think almost every diet, if it has a name, it's probably a fad diet. And I don't know, maybe I should have Allison Knott on here and see if she agrees with me on that. But, I think in general, if I stay, keep the alcohol consumption low, keep the snacks, the sugary snacks to a bare minimum. And again, I still haven't even really. Sam and I were supposed to go out for root beer floats on Friday, and we didn't do that. We haven't done that yet, primarily because we've all been sick in the house. So it's something I have to do. Actually, I'm probably going to do it tomorrow. But just try to keep that stuff to a minimum, and it's been working. I feel good down 11 pounds. I feel like I'm making progress now. One of the things I've noticed on the bike, and especially now that I'm doing these Tour de Zwift rides, right? So even though it's a ride and not a race, they show you like what place you finished in. And I tell you, it's like without failure. And maybe I can get a screenshot of this, but if you see the results, you see me, like, I think I probably came in like 180th place when I did this ride the other day. So I came in 180th place. I averaged something like 212 watts. And if you look at the people around me that finish around me, none of them, barely any of them, let's say, because there are some other me's sprinkled around in there, but barely any of them will have, in 20 spots north or south of me will have the wattage that I have. And meaning they'll be much less. So in other words, they're pushing out less power, but they're going faster or as fast as me because they weigh less. And it's like a simple calculation. It's frustrating as a guy that goes on and cycles and does, especially, I mean, you can even, if you watch the live stream, when you see me going up those hills and I start the hill in 160th place and I finish the hill in 190th place, it's frustrating, especially when you know that you're pushing more power out than most of those other guys. It's just frustrating. So this is all just a big effort to help me get better with my cycling, to help me get ready for Ironman Muscle Man, the 70.3 that I'm doing in July. And, I think the weight loss will help in all aspects, with my running, with all that stuff. It's going to all help. By the way, running is something I'm all set up on the Zwift to do the running, and I didn't do any running last week. I just did all cycling. I think it's just sort of mental with me right now. I just cycle. It's just, that's what I am. I know for a guy who has a podcast called Ordinary Marathoner, that's probably not cool, but it is what it is. That's that's the way things are set up now. So I do have to start doing more running. I got a race in mid-March, a 10K, and then we got a half marathon in May, and then we have Philadelphia in November. So I have plenty of time for November, but I think that the cycling does correspond with, if you have improvement in the cycling, you will see improvement in running as well, but you just can't not run. You can't not run at all. So I do have to add some more back into the fold, and I'll be doing that in the next couple weeks for sure. Our Thursday night ride last week, Jenna Austin, we had 4 people show up: Jenna Austin, Randy Latza, Travis Heidebrink. We had an awesome time. We just had a really great time. We climbed the volcano. And again, if you're on Zwift and you want to join our rides, just let me know. I'm happy to add you to the invite. We except for Christian Lee, who I apparently forgot last week. It is a manual process, so there's a chance I might forget you. I apologize if that happens. But we had 4 people. Jenna Austin just crushed us all going up the volcano, but she did wait for us at the top, which is very nice. But it was a fun race. It was a fun ride, and I think that's one of the things I'd like to live stream going forward, is our weekly Thursday night ride, Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. If you're interested, just let us know. Drop me a line, and I'll add you to the invite. What else do I got to say? I don't know. That's about it. We got, we're working on a couple different podcast guests. We didn't put out a podcast guest last week, but I have like 3 people on the line, including an interview with 3 of our former podcast guests who are all running the Leadville 100 this year. So it's Brian Burke, Jen Bergstrom, and Jeff Beeson. We're trying to get them together for kind of like a group podcast. We think that would be really cool. And as soon as we can get that done, we'll get that done. That's going to be a real exciting one. A couple new members of Team Ordinary I just want to announce is Candy Kemp, welcome to the team, and Denise Morris. I want to welcome you both to the team, actually, and hope your packets went out. I hope you got them all right already. Your hats, your shirts, your bags, and I know you were all involved in our Super Bowl pool, which went great last night. It was a great game, number one. Great game to watch, but the Super Bowl pool was kind of exciting too because there was always these little scores at the end of the end of the half, the end of the quarter, the end of the whatever it was that kind of tilted the needle one way or another. We had Gary Talamini win the first quarter, and he took home a Team Ordinary hat. Ora Kennedy won the half and the third quarter, so she got a hat and a shirt. And then Aaron Shepard, thanks to Damian Williams at the last touchdown that he scored, she won the fourth quarter final, which is a shirt and a $25 gift card to Amazon, Amazon.com. So the pool was really cool. I thought it was, unfortunately, we did have a couple of people who didn't realize that it was just for Team Ordinary members, and so they did runs and they thought they were going to get a box and they didn't. So I tried to reach out to you guys and explain you did have to be a member of Team Ordinary. I don't like upsetting people or disappointing people, but I do think it's a really good team, like a team building team, and you guys took it and ran with it, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I love giving things away. So we're working on it right now. We're kind of working on the background how we're going to do March Madness. Obviously, we're going to have to do something for March Madness after we did something for the Super Bowl. I don't know if we'll do like a traditional fill in the bracket pool. That's a lot of work to manage. It's just a lot of work to manage. But what was I going to say? If we do, no, we're not going to do that. We'll come up with something. All right. I just promise we'll come up with something for March Madness. Anyway, the point is, once you join Team Ordinary, you're in Team Ordinary. So you get to play around in all the pools that we have going forward. I foresee Team Ordinary existing into the way future. I don't ever see it ending. So I just see us growing and expanding, and it's been a great experience so far between all you guys with wearing your hats and shirts out there to races and taking pictures and sharing your training and your experiences, asking questions, having conversations. Meetups have been great. The Zwift rides have been great. I don't see this going anywhere anytime soon. So build and build, get bigger and bigger. and quality people too. Just the most top quality people in our group. I gotta say. Except for some of you guys I had to kick out the last couple of weeks, but that's a different story. Anyway. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of all I wanted to touch on for today. The last thing I did want to talk about was, I don't even know, should I talk about it? You know, I'm going to talk about it. I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna. Is something that was in the news last week. The death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, a few other people in the helicopter crash. So I grew up sort of in the like 80s, 90s of basketball. I was a big basketball fan, Knicks fan, Patrick Ewing. Obviously, the guys that I watched growing up was Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan. I don't want to include anyone else in those three because I feel like those three were just top notch, head and shoulders above everybody else. Maybe Shaquille O'Neal towards the back end. You know, they also had that San Antonio Spurs run too, when Jordan was playing baseball. So you kind of got to give, like, you know, Robinson, Duncan some credit in there as well. But then Kobe came around, and you know, there's been a lot of talk about his career, stuff like that. I was, and I hate this. This is the reason why I didn't want to talk about this, is because I was never really a Kobe fan. As a younger basketball fan, I never liked him. I never kind of liked the way he handled himself personally. I thought he was very arrogant. I thought his style of play was, even with Jordan, I always felt like Jordan kind of included his teammates a lot. And I've always felt like Kobe just started this brand of play where it's give me the ball and I'm going to shoot it no matter what. And the way he kind of interacted with Shaquille O'Neal, especially towards the end there, it was like Kobe wanted the team to be his team. The one thing that really bothers me with him, and, you know, I remember when I first heard that he got this nickname Black Mamba, and I'm thinking, all right, where did this come from? Because it sounds a little weird for a nickname. Maybe like one of his teammates was watching like Nat Geo or something and saw something on the Black Mamba and was like, oh, that's Kobe, Black Mamba. No. Kobe gave himself that nickname. He called himself the Black Mamba. And I felt like that's like the quintessential thing of the quintessential point of arrogance is when you're just giving yourself nicknames because you want one. And, you know, it's almost like you could kind of ask your friend, like, hey, like, can you guys like give me, like, I'd like a nickname too. Let me be included. And no one wants to give you a nickname. So then you just make your own. Like, no, like nicknames come about through just random ways, right? I mean, the best nicknames come about through random ways. I mean, Air Jordan was the dude, just like he stayed in the air forever and they called him Air Jordan, right? I mean, it's not like it's contrived or anything. That's what it was. That's how it came out. Magic Johnson, Magic. That's what the way he played. It was Magic. And so for him, I never, and again, I don't want to stomp on him now. That's ridiculous. That's not the point of the problem. The point of this is this, because I don't want to stomp on him. I don't. What I want to say is that as you get older, you know, instead of like stomping on someone's grave or saying negative things about people, you kind of realize like there's no reason to do that. There's no reason for me. I don't know Kobe. I don't know Kobe, who he is personally, what kind of family guy he is. I read a lot of great stories about him helping kids in hospitals who were sick. So, you know, I might not have liked his style of play. I might not have liked the way he did some things, but I don't know him as a person, and it's not for me to judge. And you kind of learn, as you get older, you kind of realize like it's just stupid to waste your time on thinking like that. And so instead, you know, I think you have to look for the things that you can take away, right? The lessons that you can learn from that person, things that you can take away from that person and say, you know, this is what they did right. I mean, because obviously this guy is a talented player. And, you know, it took a lot back then. You had to have a lot of talent if you wanted to get drafted out of high school. And he did. And he was drafted pretty high, first round as a high school player, which was a tough thing back then. So, you know, I think a lot of people just assumed, he's got natural ability, natural talent. And sometimes, you know, especially when people are arrogant, you don't understand the work that it takes behind the scenes to become as good as he was. And in reality, the thing is, he transformed the game. You know, I mean, does LeBron James play the way he plays without the influence of Kobe beforehand? Maybe not. Maybe not. He has a lot. Granted, LeBron's a bigger player, but he has a lot of kind of Kobe-esque things about him. And so how hard, I mean, people in the NBA, it's not like these are professional athletes. They work hard, right? But you always used to hear about how much harder Michael Jordan worked. And, you know, what's strange about Kobe was literally the week, maybe like 2 days before he died, Steph and I are watching videos, and I'm looking for motivational videos because as a coach, every once in a while I like to send my athletes something motivational just to watch, just for them to kind of absorb. And the problem is you have to look through a gazillion different, their YouTube is just full of motivational videos. You have to look through a gazillion different things in order to find, you know, the perfect message that you want to send. Sometimes I don't even do that, and I just kind of video myself, you know, and I send them the video of me if there's something specific I want to say. So we're scanning through these videos, and I come across an interview of Jay Williams, who played for Duke and played for the Bulls, had a really promising career, got into a motorcycle accident, and never really came back from that. But he's talking about how they were playing the Lakers in LA. And he's like, it's 7:00 game. I wanted to work on my game a little bit. So I got there at 4. I figured I'd practice for an hour, maybe shoot 400, you know, make 400 shots and get my work done before the game and be ready for the game. So he gets there at 4:00 and gets on the court. And who's there? Kobe, Staples Center. Kobe's there already, and lathered in sweat. He's been working for a while. And so Jay Williams starts his workout, works out for about an hour, goes back to the sidelines, and he's still hearing dribbling. Kobe's still out there. He said he sat there and he's like, I gotta watch this. I gotta see what's up here. And he sits there waiting. 25 minutes later, finally, Kobe Bryant decides, all right. I mean, he was working hard, he said. He's like doing like game type moves while he's working out before, hours before the game. He got, so Jay Williams is there for a little extra work. When he gets on the court, Kobe was already there and sweating. And after he got off the court, Kobe was still there for another 25 minutes working hard. They had the game. Kobe scores 40 after doing like a 2-hour workout or whatever he did. And at the end of the game, Jay Williams goes up to him and says, like, what's the deal? Like, what was that about? Like, why would you work so hard? And he said, well, it wasn't that I had to work so hard for me. It's just that I couldn't let you see that I didn't work harder than you. I needed you to know that I work harder than you. And, it's one of those stories that I never heard before. And again, sometimes you watch these guys play and you think it's just talent and ability, and it's not. It's hours and hours of work when no one else is watching. And I think something that's very understated with Kobe's career is how hard he worked. And you think about how hard he must have worked in order to dominate the NBA and the best players in the world. And you have to have some kind of respect for that. And we can kind of take that lesson and apply it to running and apply it to our sport. And hey, how hard do you work? How early do you get up? How before you got to be there? I mean, granted, Kobe's got to show up at work at 7. So for him to get there at 3, it's pretty early, right? So if, you got to get up, you got to get out the door by say 8 to be at your 9 to 5. If you can get up at 6, you can get up at 5. That's awesome. Get some work done. Think about that. Think about how hard it takes. And it reminded me of another story too. Was I went to Tallahassee with a friend of mine who went to Florida State, and we watched a Florida State game. This is I don't know, probably like 2000, right around 2000. And there was a guy there. I met a guy who played for Florida State as a walk-on, and he's talking to me, and he's like, I played defensive back at Florida State. Never really got into a lot of games, but what do you think of Deion Sanders? And, back then, Deion Sanders, talented as hell, always very arrogant, neon Deion, prime time, all that stuff. And you're just like, here's a guy who just has natural ability and doesn't have to work hard and is just an arrogant prick. That was the way it looked to a lot of people. So I told him, I said that. Basically relayed that. And he said, the thing is Deion Sanders was actually the best teammate I've ever had. Everyone liked him. He did anything for anybody, and drop of a hat, did anything for anybody, and you wouldn't believe it, but he was the hardest working guy I've ever met. He said that, there would be days, he's like, I'd wake up some days and be like, you know what, I'm going to put in some extra time. And he'd go to the gym, and Dion was there already, and he had been for a long time. And then so he'd put in a few hours working out or doing whatever he was got to do. He's putting in extra time on top of the workouts that the team already have, probably. And he said, I would leave the gym and Dion would still be there. He lived at the gym. Again, I don't know if that's true. It sounds like it's true. And it explains why he was so good, right? It explains why he's so good. So, the death of Kobe Bryant at 41 years old, and obviously his daughter. I mean, geez, I have a 10-year-old, and to think about that is just, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. But sometimes legacies can live on in the lessons that they teach. And I think it's kind of strange for me. It almost seems very sort of like fate oriented that I happened to watch a video about Kobe Bryant 2 days beforehand. And the fact that normally I see Kobe Bryant videos, and again, not being a very big fan of his, I would just be like, no thanks. And to see that, and maybe I'll link it in the YouTube thing or whatever. I'll put it up there for you guys to see in case you're interested. But man, obviously too young. Everyone says that. It bothers me when people say that sometimes, but it's like when your time's up, it's up. But, like everybody else, when I saw the news at first, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was an internet joke. And then when it was real, it was very real. Especially since I had seen, my phone going off. I had seen something about it just, a couple days before. So again, what I said before, sometimes the legacy lives on in the lessons that they can teach. And I think for me, the thing that I'll remember, this is what I'll remember. Yes, he transformed the game. It might not have been the way that I liked, but who am I to say, right? Yes, he transformed the game. Yes, he was arrogant. In the end, I tell you, I think I will always think of that Jay Williams interview about how hard this guy worked in order to become how good as he was. And that's what it takes, guys. It's, and I kind of take that lesson, and I'll put it in my back pocket and use it for myself sometimes when I can. So that's it. I'm going to call it quits there for the day. I don't know. I've not put the podcast out before because of my Kobe things that I've said, because I feel like it's a little raw. But it is what it is. We're going to put this one out there anyway. That being said, I hope you guys have a good week. Hope you guys get all your work done, get your training in, get everything focused. We're getting closer to the spring here, and a little bit of race season and stuff like that. I know I got one in March. Looking forward to it. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.